You know, it didn't become real for me until high school. I think at a really young age, it was just one of those things where it was tradition and that's just what we did. You know, went to church on Sundays, sometimes we go to Bible study or, you know, junior church with some of the kids, and it wasn't a thing where it was something that was really forced on me. And not until I got into high school and my high school coach was becoming a deacon in his church. And we would talk about more things than just basketball. And he was such an influence from that standpoint that he helped me realize that my relationship had to be with me and God and not with, you know, my family and God. And so I really started seeking and trying to understand Jesus Christ more for myself and form that relationship. So I would say about 9th grade for me is when it happened. I come from humble beginnings. I think it was instilled in me at a very young age through my family, the importance of giving back to others. Even if you have very little, you need to give back. I remember when I was younger, growing up, going with my grandma or my family to church and always having a service where we would feed the homeless, or, you know, sometimes we would get free food ourselves. And so understanding my background and how I was raised, I think really has instilled the core values I have today. It's really interesting because when I thought about writing the book, it was at a time when I was going through so many different things that were life-changing, and I couldn't speak publicly. I wasn't ready to speak publicly. A lot of times you hear negative things, whether it's in the press about your career or what's going on with your life, and you don't really know how to respond. But I knew that I was going through a situation that was in a storm, and eventually, you know, the sunshine would come on the other side. And through that 4-year span, which Humble Journey kind of talks about, I didn't make the Olympic team, and so I had set a goal for myself to get back in 2012 to the Olympic team because I wasn't there in 2008. But I didn't realize that as I was pursuing that goal, all the life lessons I was learning along the way. And so that's why, you know, we titled the book Humble Journey, because it was a very humble journey. I went through an experience with, you know, figuring out that I had a, you know, tumor that was cancerous, relationship issues, you know, dealing with business issues, growing in myself as a young woman. There were things in that 4-year span that people every day go through. But for me, they think because you're a celebrity, and I get kids all the time to think my life is just perfect, I wanted to write a book so that they could really get to know me, truly the experiences I went through and how I was able to bounce back from those lessons that I learned. Just think about it in our life where we've gone through something and you've done everything you thought was right. You've sacrificed so much, you've given up all these things, and then you're like, okay, it's my turn to have the prize. But God says, no, not right now. You know, not right now, daughter, not right now, son. And it was devastating for me. It was one of those things that it crushed me on the inside. I cried so many tears that I could find myself just literally on the floor feeling empty, because where was I going to go from here? For so long, it had been this goal and I had tunnel vision of wanting to get there. But in that moment, I found peace. I found comfort in knowing that He still has a plan that's greater than my imagination. And so instead of turning away from Him completely, I had to figure out, how do I turn back to Him? Because maybe this is a situation where He needs my attention and needs me in another area of my life to grow before He can give me what I truly, my heart desires. Because it says that He'll give you, you know, the desires of your heart. And this was a true desire. Right. And so I had to learn how to really humble myself and go through the process and walk and trust God. And so when I would go through those difficult times, even in basketball on the court through that 4-year span, I would just say to myself, trust Him, trust Him. Even today, you know, on the court, sometimes I'll just say, trust Him. I know that His plan is greater than mine. I know that. And it's difficult. I think we all go through those struggles in life, whether it's in the corporate world, whether it's with a family. You know, I've had friends that have been trying forever to have a kid. You know, one friend tried forever, adopted a kid, and then all of a sudden they got pregnant. Yeah. And it's like, oh, how great is our God? Right. You know, so yeah, that's why I wanted to share it in the book, because I feel like my situations happen to so many people, and they really need to see how do you respond? How did Swin respond to that, and not just falter and just walk away? I think that we all have walks. We're all at different places in our walk with Him. I think because I found God at a very young age, that I had a strong foundation. but I'm far from perfect. I'm imperfect in so many ways. And I think the thing that really helped me is that I had the support around me, like my mom and my family and friends who just kept pouring into me and loving me. And surrounding yourself with positive people, even when you're going through a struggle, can really help uplift you. So I think because not only did I love the Lord and I already knew the things that He's done in my life, but because He helped me position great people in my life, it really helped me out during a difficult time. What happened was, going into the 2010 season, that relationship, that toxic relationship I talk about in the book, I had gotten out of that relationship. And yeah, to talk about that a little bit, I think it was important to speak on it in my book. And I talk about toxic relationship, and not just, between, boyfriend and girlfriend, husband and wife. It can be coworkers, it can be anyone. But for me, I went through a difficult time where it was a toxic relationship. It wasn't bringing me closer to God. It was pulling me more away from Him. I really lost everything I thought was about myself. I thought, going into this relationship, I was a strong woman. I was independent. I had a good heart. I was trying to do things in the world. And by the time I got out of that relationship, I was broken in a number of places. And the only person that I could turn to was God. I couldn't turn to my mom, my family, anyone, because the deepest, darkest parts of my heart, it only could be healed by my relationship with Him. And so I learned that once I got rid of that baggage, that I could focus on my life. I could focus on being the best me. I could then breathe. Like, I walked different. I felt different. The air was clear. And it just was something that sometimes you have to do. You have to know when to walk away from things that are either going to harm you emotionally, physically. And that was a huge learning experience for me, especially when you've invested years and years into a relationship. Sometimes people want to hold on to it. And I remember saying to myself before I walked away from that, I said, I love God more than I love you. And to me, that was the staple. At the end of the day, if I love God more than I love this person in this toxic relationship, then I had to turn to Him. And that is the reason why it was easier for me to step away. And I went to China. I had time to just have quiet time, me time, to just really pray, to really find myself, to start figuring out what my hobbies again, what are things that I love, things that I wanted to do, reconnect with people that had been lost out of my life for a while. So when I came back, of course I was focused, because I said, you know what, I don't want to turn back to negative things. And so I had to pour myself into basketball, into helping the kids in my charity, and involved in other things. And so that was a season that was unbelievable with my teammates. They were amazing. I mean, for us to really come together and have the bond that we had in Seattle was really special. And it really was just a really great time in my life. It was a growth period for me. I would say that you have to get up, go look in the mirror, and you have to ask yourself, if you love yourself more than you love this person in this situation, And so it really is just pointing the finger back at yourself and looking in the mirror. And then especially the young girls who know Christ and they know God, that you have to trust that what He has for you is greater than this situation. This is not where you're at right now, because in high school was like, oh, this is the guy I'm going to be with. I'm going to marry him. I'm going to go off to college, have kids, and his life. And life changes. Life changes. Maybe that will happen, but you have to be able to have room for growth and know that God has the best for you. And He wants the best for you. So anything that's toxic, whether it's relationships with girlfriends, whether it's relationships, with your mom, your dad, you have to fix those toxic relationships, because you don't want to have friends and, whether it's a boyfriend or, any of those people in your life, because negative energy only breeds more negative energy, right. So positive energy all the time. I always say to my girls, like when we come into the room, and we're always like, positive energy over here, keep all your negativity over there, And we're like singing, because we really just you want to be in a loving environment. And anything that harms you is not loving. Somebody talking down to you is not loving. Right. Someone that's questioning, if you have a dream and they're putting your dreams down, that's not loving. Anything that's physical is not loving. Right. I've been through them all. So I understand that it can be difficult at times, but you have to be able to, if you can't talk to anybody else, you can talk to God. Right. And when you talk to God, He will give you the answers that you're looking for. You just have to have open ears and open mind to receive it. So Cash for Kids is my baby. I don't have any kids right now, so you know, I have about 300 boys and girls that I'll call them my babies. But it really stemmed from, like I said earlier, I come from humble beginnings, and my mom and we had talked about, I always wanted to do a foundation. I always wanted to give back, and I tore my ACL after the 2004 Olympics, and I was kind of depressed. I was on my couch. I was just doing rehab. I didn't want to really talk to people. My mom said, you need to get off your butt and do something. Like, this is not you. This is not the daughter I raised. Like, right. Don't sulk. You know, it's time to get up and, you know, stand up to this. And so, you know, when basketball gets taken away from you, you really look around and you think, wow, all my life I've been doing this. Now I can't do it. What can I do? And so I decided to invest my time and my money into Cash for Kids. And I started my own foundation in 2005. And so what we basically do is help kids get in the game. We try to keep them active through sports, through cultural activities, and through the arts. And so we right now operate out of McKeesport, Pennsylvania, and Western Pennsylvania and Pittsburgh area where I'm from. And we partnered here in Chicago with Girls in the Game. And so we're helping about 40 young girls here in Chicago with different programming through Girls in the Game. My mom is, she's amazing. You know, she's the woman that, you know, got pregnant with me. My mom and my dad were high school sweethearts. She got pregnant with me her senior year of high school, and she chose to give me life, and she chose to fight through, you know, going to college and figuring out how to make a better life for us and for my family. She's one of 12, so we've been really close. Yeah, I have 75 first cousins, so I come from a huge family. Wow. So we, my mom and I have been really close since I was younger, and she's the one person that she's always been there through my good times, through my bad, even when I was making bad decisions, you know, before all this Facebook and Twitter and social media. I mean, now kids can make a mistake, it's like on social media. But, you know, when I would, you know, be younger, my mom would always say, you know what? You're going to have to learn how to crawl before you can walk. So I know this is not going to be good for you, but I'm going to let you go ahead and see for yourself. And so she was one of those moms that sometimes let me make mistakes, but I had to really learn from them, which I think made me become the person that I am today, because I really try to pray constantly for discernment in a lot of things now, because I understand how important choices and decisions are in your life. And my mom's amazing. She's so caring. She's so loving. She right now works a job, and she's been working for almost 20 years there with McKeesport Housing Authority with other guys. She's the only female crew person that, you know, knows how to do maintenance, can pull tubs, can run snakes, can do all these different electrical things. And so she's kind of like my superwoman, because I remember when I was younger, I see her going to work in these overalls, but she'd be in there putting on lipstick and makeup, and I'm like, Mom, why are you putting on makeup? You're about to go and like do all this like grunt work and this labor intense stuff. And she's like, it doesn't matter. I'm still a lady, and a lady keeps it classy. And I was just like, I mean, it just stuck with me. So like every time I see like my girls and stuff with my charity, I'm always like, what? A lady keeps it what, ladies? They're like, classy. And it comes straight from my mom. I mean, she's just inspired me so much to not only be an amazing daughter to her, you know, for her, but also hopefully one day a great mom, you know, a sister, a friend. So I try to just be the best that I can be, because I have a great example to look up to. It's amazing. You know, for me, this is my 12th season in WNBA. Other two teams that I've won with, previous teams that I've been with, I've won championships. And so to help this organization get to the playoffs for the first time, to potentially, hopefully fight for a championship with an organization like this means a lot. I mean, Chicago's an amazing sports town. I think that the city needs to really wrap their hands around this team, because this is a team that I think is going to grow and make this city very proud. So I'm really happy to be here at the beginning of what I think will be a long run of playoffs and hopefully championships here in Chicago. What I would tell people about God is that He is not a judging God. And as Christians, I feel like, especially in today's society, people think that Christian means perfect, and we are far from that. We are in a walk like everyone else, but we know and understand Jesus Christ as our Savior. We know and understand the sacrifice that God made for us on the cross. And when you know that, it makes you hungry to have that relationship. And I would just encourage anyone that's out there, if you are in a place and you feel like you don't have hope, all you have to do is look to the sky and send up a prayer, because God is walking and He's there with you. He is a real God. He is a loving God. And it's all about relationships. It's not about your mom or your dad, your sister, your friends. It's about your individual relationship and walk with Him. And no one or anybody can tell you differently about that. It's between you and God. And I say seek Him first, seek the kingdom, and trust me, your life will then begin to change in many ways. God bless you.